to start the opening video. Hello and welcome back to Build Proportion Lab at Devoxx France 2024, coming live to you from Paris. And my next guest, the first day of the day, is Champeau, the one and only, a very long time friend, one of my favorite stories about how I completely stole your workshop in advanced groovy metaprogramming and made it into a talk and then had it delivered in front of you. It's a good story.
Yeah, that was fun.
That was fun. That was fun. There was a lot of unexpected twists because when I kind of stole all the content, I also messed it up.
That's open source. That's fine.
Yeah, no, it was great. Well, but nowadays you are with Macronaut as the logo on your hoodie suggests, right? And so for those who are not familiar, what is Macronaut? What's the history behind it? Where do we stand?
So Macronaut is I would say, modern Java framework. So it was born like maybe 5 years ago, 4 or 5 years ago, founded by Graham Rocher, who is also from the Groovy community initially. So he founded Graves, etc., etc. And you know, in the industry for the last years, there was a shift from everything happening at runtime to everything happening at compile time. And Macronaut is exactly in that modern way of developing. So the idea is really to do things like developer productivity at scale, but using modern tooling like Gradle, like compile time, annotation processing, etc., etc. So yeah.
And there are a lot of frameworks which do like this kind of thing, right? So, yeah. but it's all the micro profile with Helidon and what is it, Pariah, and then there is the Red Hat project. What's its name?
Quarkus.
Yeah, Quarkus. Oh, obviously. So there is a lot. And obviously Spring Boot does something in this regard as well. Yeah. So how they are all relate or compete or coexist? What's going on?
So that's a good question. So Macronaut, it's probably easier to learn if you come from a Spring background, because the programming model is exactly the same. So you would use annotations, you would use singleton, whatever, blah. But it's really on the implementation side that everything is changing. So with Spring, typically you still have a technology which is slow to start, etc., because it has to do some reflection, it has to compute some caches, it has to use proxies everywhere, etc., etc. With Macronaut, this goes away completely because we do everything at compile time. So the build tool, the annotation processes are responsible for doing all the hard job at compile time instead of runtime. And then it makes it much more easier typically to support modern technologies like Vim native image. So to compile a native binary with Macronaut, it's super easy. Like you just run native run and everything is compiled, just because we don't rely on reflection at all. Or we don't have any proxies and things like that. So that's the biggest difference between these different frameworks.
And you mentioned that build tool does all the heavy lifting, and as you might know, the Build Proportion Lab is sponsored by one of them. That elephant is right there. Yeah, so Gradle, I guess that's the build tool that we are talking about.
Yes.
And I imagine you have to, if you want to do everything in the build time, Gradle plays a big role into all the magic that is happening.
Yeah, so we actually support both Gradle and Maven as a build tool, so you can use Macronaut with Maven if you want to. You can even not use a build tool at all. Like, it's all annotation processing in the end. The thing is, if you do that, if you just, use ants, if you're crazy just to do that, you could, but you would have lots of things to set up yourself, like add the right annotation processes and whatnot. So a modern development framework is not about just that. It's about improving developer productivity and improving the feedback loop that you have when you develop daily. And for that, Gradle is exceptional. Like we have build plugins. So I'm responsible of the build plugins for Gradle. Alvaro Sanchez, that you know, is responsible for the Maven ones. And our goal is to make the user experience super smooth, And for Gradle, typically as a user, you just apply a single plugin, and that's it. Like you say, it's a Micronaut application, just add a couple dependencies, and here you go. Everything is configured. You have Docker configured. You can build a native image, and all that with a script which has 10 lines or something like that. So it's really impressive what you can do.
Yeah, no, that's directly goes into our Build Proportional Lab theme, which is developer productivity and streamlining the feedback loops and what's not.
Yeah.
So and basically, I guess when you develop, you can set up Gradle to run continuously,
Yeah.
and then everything you change will actually be built, and you will have immediately instantaneous feedback of what you're doing, whether it's right or wrong.
Yeah, so that's actually a demo that we made yesterday with Gren. So we had a workshop, and one of the things that you can do typically with Micronauts is just you start Gradle in continuous mode, and you don't have a Postgres database locally, and actually it would spawn the database during development, spawn the database for you with a test container.
Exactly. Yeah.
You don't have to configure test containers or whatnot. You don't even have to add a test containers annotation. Everything is embedded. And it would spawn that, then you make your changes to your code, you save, it reloads everything, and you can develop continuously with the database transparently without having to care about how it is set up. And then in production, of course, you would come with the real database, but for your daily development, it's a game changer.
Yeah, and I would say you mentioned modern. I think that's the thing, right?
Yeah.
It's all the best practices of modern productive development, right? Like the continuous mode, test containers for mimicking your production environment and all this kind of stuff. And the thing is, you kind of embed it all in, so the user doesn't have to do anything in order to be on this bleeding edge of innovations when it comes to productivity.
Yeah, basically I think you have different layers. So you have the layer like you code everything. And then you have the layer where you go with a framework, like you choose Spring, you choose Micronaut and whatnot. And then you have the layer on top of that, which is build tooling. And with build tooling, you go even up because you can totally leverage all these different frameworks, integrate them so that you're faster, have a faster feedback loop, etc., etc. And often this is the last part, which is super important for daily development. It's not for production, but for daily development, this is where you should care.
Yeah, exactly. Because if you compare the effort that you need to put into your daily development, considering to maintaining the application in production, actually daily development is where you spend most of the time.
Yes.
So this is where the efforts toward productivity bring the more fruit.
Yeah. Yep. And with Micronaut, it's especially important because Micronaut typically for testing, we don't do like mocking. We don't encourage doing mocking. We say it starts so fast that you can actually have lots of functional tests and run with the real database, run with the real services that you don't have to mock. And it goes so fast that you don't care that it's actually something costly in general to do that.
Yeah, and this is very interesting trend again, speaking about modern in testing, that kind of the industry moves away from unit testing because the reason for unit testing was, hey, we cannot test everything and provide fast feedback, but it's better at least to test your units instead of not testing anything. But now with frameworks like Micronaut and tools like test containers, you don't need that anymore. You actually can test more in less time, so you will have better feedback, but also faster feedback in your development.
Exactly. Yes.
And that's another trend that we see in speaking about modern development trends.
Yeah. We definitely encourage to use more functional testing than unit testing.
Yep.
So,
Fascinating. All right, folks, so here you have it. If you didn't try Micronaut, you really should, because this is where you get all the bleeding edge out of the box. You don't need to do anything in order to benefit from it, and you will have just enjoyable development experience, I guess.
I hope so. And if it's not the case, just ping us. It's open source. We have an issue tracker, so we improve continuously. So,
perfect. And let Cedric know if anything doesn't work. All right, so thank you very much. Stay tuned. We're coming to you live in the next episode right after this one. Thank you and bye-bye.